Hi everyone, it's Richard here from Mammoth Journeys. Today we're going to take a look at this superb saddlebag from Planet X. This is one of the most impressive bits of kit that we've bought recently, and we're really looking forward to showing you why. In the video we'll also go through a nice little bike packing hack to make it more efficient with your packing and quicker when you get into your camp. Let's get into it. So let's start off why I picked this bag specifically. Earlier in the year, I had a trip the King Alfred Way where I needed to carry a bit more kit. I'd hoped to match either the frame bag or the handlebar bag I had. So I looked at the Apidura site first to match the frame bag, but their 9-litre saddlebag was £118, which just seemed a lot of money and something that I wasn't particularly keen on to go for. The Thule unfortunately don't do any saddlebags big enough. They only do your normal size saddlebag for an inner tube and a tool, some tools. So I then started looking at some other makes and I stumbled upon Planet X and their PODSAC range. I looked at the specifications of what the kit was and also looked at some reviews, and for £30 it was definitely worth a go. I opted for the 9-litre option. They do have a slightly larger one of 14. I opted for the 9-litre because I knew that was going to give me everything I needed for the trips that I do generally. I don't take a stove with me on my bike packing trips because I don't go for long enough, and I'm always near somewhere where I can pop into a service station or something similar. In hindsight, perhaps the slightly bigger size would have future-proofed me for further trips or when things get a little bit colder, but you learn. And I've gone for the 9-litre Planet X PODSAC saddlebag. Let's now go through the features of the bag and why it makes it so good. So let's start off with how it's strapped to your bike. It's initially on the seat post, these two big Velcro straps. They're really easy to use and they're really easy to tie down. So if you've got gloves on, if it's a bit chilly, it makes it really, really easy. And it may seem like a really obvious thing, but for those that watched my Apidura frame bag video, one of the things that made it quite frustrating was that it was really fiddly to get onto the frame. It had quite small straps, and if you were cold or if you had gloves on, it made it quite tough. So that initially makes it really, really good. The next thing to talk about is how it fits underneath the saddle. So it is a bit of a fiddle to get the buckle through the rails on the seat, but there literally is no other way that you can do it. Once you've got them through, the actual fastening and how the little loose bits of fabric are sorted is really, really clever. So the buckles are nice and big, they're a clip, which makes it really easy, and they've got a nice little system where the loose bit of strap is tied down, so again it makes it really easy. And to tighten it up to keep it closer to your seat post and to keep it closer to your saddle, again, is really easy. So to mount it on your bike, to keep it nice and snug, is really, really good. The eagle-eyed viewers amongst you will notice that on these little straps they've got that 3M reflective material, which is a huge godsend. It lights up in the dark when a light's shone on it. So from a safety perspective, it's an absolute win. Let's look on the bottom of the bag now, and we've got these two elasticated straps. Now these can be used if you wanted to put on any flip-flops, or if you wanted to add on additional stuff in a dry bag, so maybe some clothes. So if you are like me and you've bought a bag that maybe you wish you bought the bigger one, you've got an option to put something there. I haven't used them yet, but I would have no issue to use them in the future. The second place you can add some extra kit is right on the top. So they've got these bungee cords here, and when I was doing my most recent trip, I'd put my high-vis gilet there. The reason I put it there was so that I had easy access to it, and again offered a little bit of visibility and safety because you could be seen a little bit easier. And again, they've got this 3M reflective material on it, which makes it light up when the light is shone on it, which is keeping you nice and safe. Keeping at the back of the saddlebag now, we're going to look at the folded area. So there's a lovely little place for you to attach a light, which is really helpful because as you can see, where you'd normally attach it, that place is completely gone. Moving our way down the bag, you'll come to here and there's a reinforced bit of material, which is super helpful. So this adds a bit of stability for when you're riding and also some stability when you're packing. So it's rigid and holds its shape, which is again, really, really helpful. Some of the saddlebags don't have this, and it ultimately means you've got like a dry bag. It's quite loose and it's a bit awkward, if I'm honest. However, there was one fail that I did on the King Alfred Way with the bag. So I stupidly put a reflector here, trying to be safe, and I thought I put it in a position which wasn't going to impact the bag. However, I was wrong. At the end of day one, and I got to the pub, I noticed that the reflector was just digging in, the plastic reflector digging into the fabric, and it had been all day. And it doesn't matter what bag I had, it would have chewed up that bit of fabric. So an absolute fail from me. However, it hasn't seemed to have dug into the reinforced material, and it also hasn't pierced the tarpaulin. So from a waterproofness, it's still good. But learn from my lesson and make sure this area is clear. However, I'm sure you're not as stupid as I am. Moving on to the tarpaulin, which I've spoken about. Now, this is a really good and main feature of the bag. So the inner lining is made of tarpaulin, which, if you don't know, is a really good waterproof material. So I've been out on the bike with downpours with this bag on, and it's been absolutely fine. So I don't put my stuff in dry bags anymore. Once you get to the hack, you'll see that I actually have my bivvy bag protecting my sleeping bag and other things on the inside. Should the tarpaulin fail, it's got another layer. However, it hasn't to date, and I hope it doesn't in the future. So really fit for purpose, and the waterproofness is a big selling point of the bag. Before we go on to the hack, let's do a quick summary of the bag. You've probably realized already how much I love this bag. I think it's amazing. And for £30, it's an absolute steal. You've got a waterproof, fit for purpose, practical, robust saddle bag for £30, which is really, really good. Planet X also do a combo offer deal where you can get the saddle bag, frame bag and handlebar bag all for £60, which is just great. So you're getting all three for half the price of one Apidura saddle bag. So you can get into bike packing at a really reasonable cost and get some really high quality kit. Planet X haven't asked me to do this video. I'm not sponsored for this. I've paid for this myself. I just think it's worth people knowing where there's some good kit. I did actually meet a rider on the King Alfred who had all three bags. He'd got the deal a few years ago, still going strong, and he raved about them as well. If I was starting off fresh, I would probably follow suit as well. So really good bits of kit. Anyway, on to the hack. So now this is my hack for your saddle bag. If you're like me, I like to keep all my sleeping stuff in the saddle bag so that I don't need to open up the bag until I get to the end of the day at my campsite. And what I used to do is I used to take all the different sleeping stuff, so my sleeping bag, my roll mat, my bivvy bag, and ultimately try and play a game of Tetris where I maximized all the space and didn't leave any dead spots. But I always lost. There was always dead spots. As you can see in this bag, how it's not particularly the best packed. So what you want to do instead is you want to lay out all of your sleeping stuff as it would be when you arrive into camp. So your bivvy bag, roll mat inside, and then your sleeping bag inside. Roll it all up like you would do a tent. So you've got this one big piece of material, and then what you can do is you can put it in a dry sack if your saddle bag isn't waterproof, or you can just stuff that whole big bit of material into your saddle bag and stop any dead spaces whatsoever. And this is what it looks like at the end. So I appreciate it'll look very similar on camera, but you'll have to trust me, there are now no dead spots. It's a lot more efficient in packing. I've been able to get more in the bag, so I've got my down jacket and head torch in there now as well, so a bit more efficient. And when I get to my camp spot at the end of the day, I'm able to roll the sleeping bag and everything out as one, which saves a little bit of time, which is always good. And if your saddle bag isn't waterproof, or like this one, the tarpaulin was to pierce, for example, because the bivvy's on the outside of your sleeping bag and roll mat, it will still stay dry, so an added benefit as well. So that's the hack, all complete. Let us know how you get on and if you find it helpful. So there we go, another great product reviewed, and hopefully it's going to help you out with your cycling. If you've used the PODSAC and you've got different thoughts or want to pass on what you think, let us know in the comments below. I'll be really interested. And if you've been watching this and I've not answered your question, put it in the comments below and I'll try and get back to you and hopefully give you an answer. And if I can't, maybe someone else who's watching can. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you like this sort of stuff, subscribe to the channel because we've got more videos of product reviews, bike reviews, and some cool trips that we do as well. So all the fun cycling stuff. Thanks very much, and we'll speak to you soon.